Welcome to the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, where you can take a deep dive to explore the pitfalls and potential of the obsessive-compulsive personality, offering hope and help for perfectionists, workaholics, micromanagers, type A personality, and control freaks. Hello, everyone. Gary Trosclair here, psychotherapist, Jungian psychoanalyst, and author of the Healthy Compulsive Project book, blog, and podcast. One of the most valuable things I learned in my training to become a Jungian psychoanalyst is to ask what the purpose of a symptom is for. That is, what's the meaning behind it, and where does it want to lead us? So rather than pathologize our struggles, we need to look deeply to see what we're trying to accomplish with them. Compulsive behavior is often dismissed as neurotic, but what if it's a deep call for connection and purpose? This post explores the redemptive potential of obsessive-compulsive personality traits, how they can become a source of meaning, growth, and compassion when understood properly. This is episode 90 of the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, Finding the Meaning of Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Traits. I came across an idea in a book the other day that perfectly expresses my own thoughts about the meaning of compulsive personality traits. The writer teaches high school English and happens to have taught both of my daughters. And here I quote her. Our compulsive glances at our phones are not really focused inquiries about what time to meet someone for lunch, but anxious urges coming from a place deep within us that desires meaningful communion with other human beings. That's the end of the quote. This is from Jennifer Gavin's marvelous book, Dear Students, Reading, Writing, and the Art of Smelling Books. While I might be extrapolating here, I take Gavin's point to mean that rather than just write off compulsive behavior as neurotic, as contemporary culture encourages us to do, we need to look beneath the surface to see what those urges are really calling for. Then we can understand the deeper intent and how those urges could contribute to our wholeness. Otherwise, if we just dismiss compulsive behavior as pathological, we miss the potential purpose and meaning underlying it. The next time you check your watch, ask yourself, what is my time for? Some people don't just engage in occasional compulsive behavior. Their entire personality is driven by perfectionism, a need for order, and a need for control. And I believe that Gavin's point applies to this personality style as well. In their original form, compulsive personality traits have purpose. Being meticulous and conscientious and always trying to solve problems can lead to a productive and satisfying life. It's when we feel insecure and try to use those traits to prove our value that those traits become rigid and unhealthy. In these cases, the individual slowly sinks into obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, also known as OCPD, rather than living with a healthy personality style. The following story illustrates the importance of looking for the purposes inherent in personality differences rather than pathologizing them. In an interview on National Public Radio, Dame Gillian Lynn, a phenomenally successful dancer and choreographer, she choreographed Cats and Phantom of the Opera, describes a transformative moment when her mother and a medical professional realized the purpose inherent in her struggles. Teachers at Lynn's school thought she had a learning disorder. Her attention span was very short and she couldn't stop moving. They called her wriggle bottom. She moved compulsively. Her mother took her to see a specialist. The specialist listened to her mother describe Lynn's problems and observed her behavior at the same time. He told Lynn, "I need to speak to your mother in private for a moment. Please wait here." He turned on the radio and left the room with her mother. They watched her through a window in the door from outside in the hall. Lynn leapt and danced all over the room. She was having a great time. The specialist told her mother, "There is nothing wrong with your child. She's a born dancer." I find this story very moving because in that moment they realized who Lynn really was, the purpose of her personality. It helped her mother to see and to cultivate her authentic self. Eventually, it helped Lynn use her natural traits, those deep, almost uncontrollable urges, in a fulfilling way. Lynn's obituary in The Guardian implies that Lynn had other compulsive traits as well. And here I quote the article. What drove her was the dancer's all-consuming discipline, not the ambition of her male directorial counterparts. Interviewed in the Times in 2014, shortly after the release of her exercise DVD, Longevity Through Exercise, she said, "Of course I've done pretty well. The royalties from Cats and Phantom come in and week out. I could have retired on my royalties, but I didn't want to stop working." Thank goodness she didn't. What might the specialist who interviewed Lynn have said of you? He or she is a natural born what? Would you have been straightening pictures? If so, have you considered a career in quality control or engineering? Perusing books to discover the patterns in his interest? Have you considered systems analyst, psychotherapist? Would you have been organizing his shelves? Might want to consider being a project manager. Resetting his clock to make it accurate? Maybe consider being a shot clock operator for the NBA. Obsessive and compulsive traits can evolve and be used in many positive ways, from accounting to artistry. I see determination, meticulousness, and obsessive planning as just a few of those traits. They can be both personally rewarding and beneficial to the larger world. But being compulsive isn't all victory and glory. It can be torture at times. Even if we do find the purpose in being obsessive-compulsive, we'll never completely escape the urge to get things just right, and that causes suffering. In order to experience some degree of peace after finding purpose, we may also need to make meaning of this condition. Yes, this is relative. Lots of people have suffered far worse than the need for perfection, completion, and production, and that's where I'm going. Whatever the degree of suffering we experience, we can learn compassion from it. Other, non-compulsive people suffer in different and far worse ways. Discrimination, poverty, disease, psychosis, disabling depression, and loneliness, just to name a few. Our own suffering can help us to feel into what life is like for those who have it worse than we do, just to get a hint of what they go through. Still other people seem to wander through life unfazed and oblivious. I can honestly say I would not want to be one of those people. To merely stroll on the surface of life and never dive into the depths to experience all of its dimensions seems empty and pointless to me. It's just another, less obvious form of suffering. In her book, Gavin tells us that the writer J.R.R. Tolkien coined the term eucatastrophes, destructive events which, in the long run, turn out for the good. The catastrophe of compulsives, of never being able to completely relinquish the habit of obsessing about the best way to do things, can become a eucatastrophe if we realize that life isn't perfect for any of us, and we develop compassion for others as well. There's a fork in the road when you get to suffering. It can either lead to a pity party, I just can't catch a break, why me? Or it can lead to compassion for all sentient beings, thinking, life is hard for all of us and we're in it together. While some suffer more than others, we all suffer. It's the first of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. Personalizing it makes it worse. Understanding its universality leads to compassion and some relief. In that way, as interminable problem solvers, we can make meaning out of our suffering. You can find transcripts of this podcast with links to research sources and lots more at the Healthy Compulsive blog, www.thehealthycompulsive.com. If you'd like to subscribe to the Healthy Compulsive podcast, hit that subscribe button. And for a thorough guide to cultivating the positive potential of the compulsive personality, find my book on Amazon, The Healthy Compulsive, Healing Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder and Taking the Wheel of the Driven Personality. And if you find any of these helpful, let others know by leaving a review. Till next time, enjoy the drive.